Let us see third unit of operating system, process management. After this unit, you can explain function carried out in the given process state. You can describe the function of the given component of process stack in PCB. You can explain characteristics of the given multi-threading model. You can describe method of executing the given process command with example. The objective of this unit, there are 5 objectives. The first objective of this unit is process state, process control block. Second objective is about process scheduling and scheduling queues, schedulers, context switch. Third objective is about inter-process communication, introduction of inter-process communication and two systems of inter-process communication, that is shared memory system and message passing system. Next objective is about thread. What is thread? What are the benefits of thread? User thread, kernel thread and multi-threading models like many to one, one to one and many to many. Last objective of this unit about execute process commands like ps, wait, sleep, exit, kill. Let us see the first subtopic of this unit is about the process. The objective of this subtopic is to explain the process, explain the process state, explain the process state diagram, and we are going to explain the PCB also. So let us see the process. Let us start the process management. A process is a program in execution. A process will need certain resources such as CPU time, memory, files, and IO systems, IO devices to accomplish its task. These resources are typically allocated to the processes while it is executing. A process is the unit of work in the most systems. System consists of collection of processes. Operating system processes execute system code and user process execute user code. All these processes may execute concurrently. Modern operating systems support processes having multiple threaded operating system. On systems with multiple hardware processing cores, these threads can run in parallel. We know that a process is a sequential program in execution. A process defines the fundamental unit of a computation for the computer. So there are 3 or 4 different components of process. The first component is object program. Second is data. Third is resource, and sometimes maybe status of the process execution. Object program, that is the first component of process, that is it is a code to be executed. Object program is a code to be executed. Data is used for executing the program. While executing the program, it may require some resources. Last component is used for verifying the status of the process execution. A process can run to completion only when all requested resources have been allocated to the process. 2 or more processes could be executing the same program, each using their own data and resources. Let us see what is process and program. Program is a static entity. Program is just we can say a set of instructions that can be put together into the particular file. It is a static entity made up of program statements. Program contains instructions. A program exists at single place in space and continues to exist. A program does not perform the action by its own, while the process is a dynamic entity. That is a program in execution. As soon as we start the program execution, process starts. Process is a sequence of information execution. Process exists in a limited span of time. Two or more processes could be executing the same program, each using their own data and resources. Before starting the process, where the program is located, the program is located in the primary memory, that is in base memory. So whenever we want to execute that program should be called from hard disk into the main memory. As we know that the program is a passive entity and process is active entity. Passive entity in the sense we can write the program into the editor using the editor and stored into the hard disk drive. And then whenever we want to execute such program, at that time that program should be accessed from the hard disk drive, called into the main memory, and then process starts. Now it's turn to start the process. Now where the process actually resides, again that resides in the memory location of the particular base memory. The status of the current activity of the process is represented by the value of the program counter and the content of the processor's register. The memory layout of the process is typically divided into these sections. The first section starts with the bottom side, that is a text section. It is nothing but executable code that will be run run for the process. Then another section is data section. Data section is nothing but a global variable. The sizes of the text and data section are fixed. This two is fixed, as their sizes do not changes during the program runtime. That's why it is fixed. However, the stack and heap, this heap section is nothing but memory that is dynamically allocated during the program runtime. So whenever we need the space for some resources, space for some variables, at that time that may change. And stack section is there, that is a temporary data storage when invoking functions. For example, the functions such as parameters, return address, and sometimes local variables. So this particular section may be grow and shrink as per the demand of this section, this heap section and stack section. These stack and heap sections can shrink and grow dynamically during the program execution. Each time a function is called, the activation record containing function parameter, local variables, and the return address is pushed onto the stack. So stack is pushed, that means that area of the stack grows, and that will be in this direction, while the heap will be in this direction. When control is returned from the function, the activation record is popped from the stack. Similarly, The heap will grow as memory is dynamically allocated, and it will shrink when memory is returned to the system. So this is not fixed, while these two are fixed. Although the stack and heap section grow towards one another, the operating system must ensure they do not overlap one another. Otherwise, that error may occurs. Let us see example of C program where this C program resides as a process in the main memory. So let's check out the global data. This particular global data section is divided into different sections. For example, to change this section, otherwise this process in memory and the program in this memory is almost same. Here this particular data is divided into two different sections, that is initialized and uninitialized. Initialized data, and another section is there, that is uninitialized. Data. So two sections, that global data will be divided into two different sections, initialized data and uninitialized data. A separate section is provided for this this one. And this one, ARG, argument C and V. A separate section is provided here. That is the only difference. We can say high memory and this is low memory. High memory and low memory. So separate section is provided above the stack. And then this these statements, integer, that will be stored into the, that is pushed into the stack, while this integer x and integer y, these are the two different integers, x and y, while we are not mentioned the value of x, while we mention the value of y. So here initialized data, which is initialized data now, the initialized data is this is uninitialized data. Integer x is uninitialized data, so we have to put this particular instruction, that means operating system will put this instruction into this particular section, while this integer y, this will put into initialize because it is initialized. So this program can be put into the memory in this particular sections, as well as there is one section remains, that is heap. This memory allocation, malloc, memory allocation, this section is this heap section is used by this particular statement or instruction, memory allocation. It allocates the memory into the heap section. So in this way, the program, this C program can be allocated into the memory. So when we allocate this particular space to the memory, to the program, then you can say it turns into the process. Now it is the time where the process starts. And lastly, we know that it is a text, it is an object code, this one, this object code. So in this way, that program can be put into the memory. This is the high memory and this is the low memory. In the low memory, we always put this program when we called to execute this program from hard disk IO into the main memory, that will put into the low memory area, and it starts the processing. At that time, the various sections are there which can be used for process these instructions. When process executes, it changes its state. Process state is defined as the current activity of the process. So from current activity to any other activity, when it changes, then we can say it changes its state. So there are different states of the processes. For example, new, ready, running, waiting, and exit. These are some process states. New, a process that is just been created, that is called as new process, a new state. It is a new. Then another state is there, that is ready. Ready state. What is this ready state? Ready state, ready processes are waiting to have the processes allocated to them by the operating system so that they can run. So these are waiting for the process, that is newly created process will be change its state into the ready state. Next is running state. Running state, the process that is currently being executed, it's called as running state. A running process processes all the resources needed for its execution, including the processor. So it is a in execution. So from new to ready and from ready to running. So it changes its state. Sometimes it needs to have some IO. So at that time, that must enter into another state, that is waiting. A process that cannot execute until some event occurs, such as the completion of an operation. The running process may become suspended by invoking an IO module also. So another is exit, that is terminated or exit. A process that has been released from the pool of executable processes by the operating system. Then you can say it is terminated, or we can say it is that we cannot write here exit, but we can write here terminated. So this is another state. When we connect all these blocks, that is from job pool or a pool of various jobs, we get that is created one process, then it enters into the ready state. So we can say it is admitted, and that will provide for execution. So it is running. This is scheduler dispatch. Scheduler dispatch. Operating system dispatches the processes which are ready into the running state. So scheduler dispatches. We will see this scheduler in next upcoming section. Now, a waiting. There is a waiting state or wait state. A process that cannot execute until some event occur, such as the completion of an IO operation. The running process may become suspended by invoking an IO module. Now here, this running, after the running state which requires IO operations, this the running process may become suspended by invoking an IO operation. So you can say here IO or any event wait or event wait. Not necessary that the process is suspended for a while only for IO. Not necessary. That may be for any event other than IO. It is for waiting that event. And if this also completes, that IO operation completes, then that process state changes from waiting to ready. Now here we can say IO completion or event completion. Event completion. Now I will repeat again from the job pool. A process, new process created. That process will be admitted to ready state. Here admitted, and then the ready, in a ready state, the processes are available that will be dispatched for running. So we can say through the scheduler dispatch that will change the state from ready to running state. That particular process changes its state from ready to running, and after that, that process required some IO operation, then it changed the state from running state to waiting state. Now here the IO operation completes or any event completes at that time, that again change from waiting to ready, and from ready it again go to the running for exit. Any process cannot directly exits. It is terminated. A process that has been released from the pool of executable processes by the operating system, then it is terminated. You can say here it exits. Exit. Now here this happens, and one task actually here, that is from running to ready. In between the process of running, execution of that particular process, if any interrupt occurs, then it change its state from running state to ready state. Any interrupt occurs at that time, that from running to ready. So this particular is called as process state diagram. This is completely process state diagram. Now let us see process control block. any process is identified by its process control block, that is the data structure. PCB is a data structure used by the operating system to keep track on the processes. Each process is represented in the operating system by PCB. This is also called as TCB, that is task control block. It contains many pieces of information associated with specific process, like process state, whether it is ready, running, waiting, then process ID or process number. Process ID or process number. Then program counter. Process state may be new, it may be ready, it may be running, waiting, halted, and so on. This process state. Program counter, this is a process number, which process actually in current state. So we can say it is a current state. Current process state may be this one, process number. Then program counter. The counter indicates the address of next instruction. Next instruction. Whatever the instructions to be executed next, that will be counted by this program counter for this particular process. Then registers. Then various registers, memory limit, list of open files, memory limits, list of open files. These CPU registers vary in number and type depending on the computer architecture. What type of architecture or computer have? Depending on that, this number of registers, type of registers depends. It includes, for example, accumulators, index register, accumulator, index register, like this, stack pointer, stack pointers, and general purpose register. General purpose registers, as well as any condition code information. So it includes these CPU registers. Then some CPU scheduling information. CPU scheduling information. This information includes a process priority, pointers to scheduling queues, and any other scheduling parameters. Then memory management information. This also includes in process control block. This information may include such items such as the value of the base and limit registers and page tables or the segment tables, time limits, account numbers, job, or any other things. Then accounting information. Accounting information. In accounting information, it includes the amount of CPU and real time used, time limits, process number, and so on. As well as it also includes IO status information. IO status information. This information includes the list of IO devices allocated to the processes, a list of open files, and so on. So this is about the process control block. Let us see the summary of first topic. A process is a program in execution, and the status of the current activity of a process is represented by the program counter as well as other registers. The layout of process is memory is represented by 4 different sections: text, data, heap, and stack. We have seen the process state. As the process executes, it changes its state. There are 4 general states of a process: ready, running, waiting, and terminated. Also, we have seen the PCB, a process control block. It is the kernel data structure that represents a process in an operating system. So these are some points we have discussed in first subpoint of third unit.